Hello, this is David from DN Cognitive Counseling. It's very frustrating shooting a video and then finding out it gets corrupted and everything you did goes to waste. So this is going to be take two. And ironic, that was about choosing battles in relationships. We've all heard the term, you have to choose your battles. But we ever think about what does that mean, when should you choose it, and how do you make that decision? Tonight I'll take some opportunity to try to set some parameters and see whether or not it could be helpful in terms of figuring out when to choose a battle and when not to. So let's start off with right away, what does it mean to choose a battle? And that means basically you're being selective of the problem or the argument or confrontation that you're involved in. So instead of fighting every single problem that comes up, you save time by only making choices about when you should or should not choose that. When you should or should not choose the battle. Number one, it's very important to remember, not everything is important. Some things are simple. For example, whether or not there's the color of a wall, or where to place something in the house. Those things might not be so important to you. Now, it could be, those things could be, and we could talk about that a little bit later, but for most of us, those things are not the important things in our lives. Think about it this way. In about 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, is that something that you're going to be like, wow, I'm so angry that I allowed that to happen. This has hurt me in my life horribly. So there's the aspect of let us not sweat the small stuff. Remember, every time you get into a fight, it takes up time. Every problem you wrap yourself in takes time and energy. Even if you win the battle, it could take a lot of energy out of you. And sometimes you have victory in the battle and you lose the war. We always have to remember what is important and why is it important. So the first thing I think you should always do when dealing with this is evaluate the problem. Now, I'm going to share with you there's been many times where somebody tells me they don't want to speak to a family member, a child, some relationship, friend, and they say, you know something, I'm so tired of this, I'm sick of this. This is the straw that broke the back, and I'm not dealing with this anymore, and they pull away. And then somebody gets sick, or there's a health issue, and all of a sudden now it's, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. That was such a small thing. And the next thing you know, they're lamenting about all the time they didn't spend because of the problem that to them was not even that important to begin with. Many times people forget what that problem is. Now, if that's the case, then you fought a battle that was not worth fighting. If you know exactly why you fought the battle, you know exactly where the lines were, and you say to yourself, no, if I had to go back and do it all over again, I'd do the exact same thing. I don't mind that they're dying. I don't mind that there's no relationship. I maintain what I did and why I did it, then that was a battle worth fighting. Sadly, that's not the case for most people. So, in terms of evaluating a problem, I would like you to think about this way. First, is the problem really important? Is this a problem that's going to affect your life? As we talked about the blue wall or the red wall or the green wall, is that going to affect your life? Second, do I need to deal with it? Is it that important? And then the third one is, can my time be spent better doing something else? I'll give you a problem that is worth dealing with, and that is money. Many times there are relationship issues where one party is spending money. And I love this one. Well, it's only $20, it's only $30, so I didn't really think about it. Then what ends up happening is a year and a half goes by, and those little things turn into a $5,000, $6,000 deficit because you didn't deal with the problem and you let it go. So the first thing is the problem really important? And the answer is, if it's money and it's resources in the relationship, the answer is yes. That's a really important problem. Do you need to deal with it? Then the answer would be yes. And can your time be better spent somewhere else? The answer is no, because you have to stop that sieve that's going on. Now, again, if the wall is blue or the wall is green or the wall is yellow, is that a really important problem? Do you need to deal with it? And could your time be spent doing something else? So you always want to do that cost-benefit analysis. Do the costs outweigh the benefits? If I get divorced, I'll give you the example of a married couple, because the wall is blue, and the wall is yellow, Will that affect me in divorcing or destroying this relationship? For the most part, the answer would be no. If my partner is putting us in tremendous debt because the fact that they're spending all this money, then that might be an aspect where the answer is no, I have to be able to deal with this because I might have to just move on. So we have to understand whether or not in that cost-benefit analysis, is it better or not for you? 2, what are the odds of success? If your odds of success are very low, then you might as well just move on. And sadly, too many people stay in relationships way longer because they keep fighting the same battle thinking they're going to get a different result. On the other hand, because so many people fight so many battles, what's really important gets lost. I always use the example of Edith Bunker from All in the Family. Edith was, quote, considered to be submissive, back in the old days. Yet if you ever watch the show, whenever it's an important issue, she stands up to Archie and wins every single one of those battles. Now, why is that the case? Because she picked her battles. When she picked it, there was no her losing. Archie always had to back down. Because Archie was always the one making those small decisions, but the really important issues, she always wins. And if you ever seen the show, you'll see that's the case. And you'll say, well, that's a TV show. But I can tell you the same thing generally happens in relationships. When you are backing down over small things, but you stand up for the really big things, the person generally takes you a lot more seriously. When you're a person that constantly gets you want on the small things, generally you lose very big time on the big things, or the relationship breaks apart. So when you're looking for solutions, you always want to try to get a win-win solution as opposed to a win-lose solution. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not. But again, if you're picking your battles, then you'll always have the ability to do that, to be able to look for those ways of those solutions. And it's important when discussing this, and this goes actually back to the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You want it to be a collaborative effort, a just open discussion. It's not, I am telling you. But let's talk about the money for a minute, where I'm telling you it's something that you do have to deal with, because otherwise it can cause a lot of major issues down the road. Having an open discussion with the person about it in terms of, well, what is our goals here? What are we trying to do? Is this okay for us to bleed money this way? Would it be okay for me to bleed money this way? And what happens if we both do it? And what happens to our relationship? And what happens to our ability for finances and decisions of our money goals down the road? I know money is not a conversation a lot of people like to have, but for every relationship it's imperative. I've seen too many relationships break up because of poor communication, but the poor communication manifested in money. And that's why so many people fight over money, because their poor communication leads to those money issues because they're not being dealt with, and what ends up happening is they break apart because of it. So having an open discussion, seeking to understand why your partner may have done what they did. Again, everyone has a different point of view, and you want to understand their point of views. Don't override just because they're saying it, but hear them out, understand what they are, and ask questions to understand their point better. You also, after understanding theirs, share yours and let the person have a chance to react to the way that you shared yours. And see if there's a way to bridge that divide between the two of you. Asking each one what the other one heard. This goes back to a video I did on what's called reflective listening. And then being able to be supportive to one another and saying, I'm hearing what you're saying about this. Do you hear what I'm saying about this? And then the last part of that is brainstorming to find out whether or not there's a solution that you both can come to with. And you want to make it clear that you're looking to create that win-win outcome, that you both get your needs met if you can. And again, you never want to approach this being angry. The more you can have somebody on your side in dealing with this, the better chance you'll have of being able to get to a framework that you could both agree with. So anytime you have to go into battle, unlike actually it's not even unlike an army, because if an army goes into battle very angry and emotional high, there's a great tendency of making a lot more mistakes. You actually want to be reasoned and understanding what you're doing, so you want to go with a calm and peaceful place, a calm and peaceful mind. Now, you want to stay away from things that are going to be attacking the person, ad hominem attacks. That you want to stay away from, because then it puts them in a standpoint of being defensive, and then there goes all ability to have any conversations. We don't have unlimited resources in our lives. We don't have the ability to spend all our energy fighting every single point. But if we choose our battles, we can get the important ones in our lives taken care of, and therefore make our relationships better. And again, it's very important also, don't hold a laundry list of things that have gone on before. Too many times people, when they deal with these things, they start to bring up all the other points and all the other issues they've ever had. And then you lose sight of the very thing that you're trying to understand and move forward to. So, are you going to choose your battles? Or are you going to maintain the same mindset that you had before you saw this? It's really up to you. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you liked this video. And if you did, hit like. If you disagree with anything I said, please tell me and leave a comment below. And of course, if you didn't subscribe to this channel, please do. And share the video with anybody who might think that might be helpful to. And I wish you a good night and a good mental health.